Welcome to another episode of the Paper Plate Show with Stegall and Sanchez, and let's get right into it, Davis. My old buddy, head coach for the Argos, Ryan Dinwiddie, after beating the Edmonton Elks, had a emotional reaction to some sideline antics from the opposing team and players and coaches. Thoughts, reactions?
Yeah.
What
So
do you
this was
feel about it?
was this the poll question?
This was the poll question. Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
what was the actual question? What would you have done if you were in his shoes? If you were in Ryan Dinwiddie's shoes, head coach of the Argos? What would you have done? And would you have the results?
42% said they would have done the same. 40% said nothing. They would have done nothing, and 18% said they would have did something different.
So let's roll. Let's roll what it looked like post game. All right. Hey, it's your teammate, your ex-teammate. It's my quarterback.
That's my quarterback.
Let's go. You're gonna defend him. You're gonna defend him. So go ahead. I'm sure.
Well, I'm not gonna necessarily defend him. I can. There were some people saying that was low class. I understand that. If I was in his shoes, how would I have reacted? Probably the same way. Yes, I understand some people saying it's low class, but emotions sometimes get the best of you. And you have to understand, these coaches spend hours and hours and hours daily trying to devise a game plan to beat the opposing team. And then, there was some trash talking going on between players, and even some coaches were trash talking Dinwiddie. So after beating the Elks, especially in the fashion in which they won, his emotions got the best of him, and he had to give it back to him. So was it right? Was it wrong? Was it classless? Probably, but if I were in his position, I probably would have did the same thing. I totally understand.
So it looks as though, and reading his lips, it looks like he's saying, and I can't confirm this, but I'm pretty darn sure, I would say 85%. He's saying, where Maxie at? Where's Maxie's ass? And when he's yelling to the sideline, and Maxie is Demetrius Maxie, he's referring to, who was the D-line coach in Toronto last year with Dinwiddie and left to Edmonton. And when he left, he brought over three or four of their, basically took their whole defensive line with him to Edmonton. So that, I think, is where this stems from. And as far as I know, I think Dinwiddie, I'm pretty certain, talking to folks, Dinwiddie and Max are still buddies. Those guys are cool. They talk to each other. They're cool. It's not like they're enemies. Now, obviously, there was some rivalry, some juice, some competition there, because early in the game, they went for it on third down, third and one. They got stuffed. That Maxie and the sideline erupted when they got that stop. Because remember, that's that D line. That's the Argos' old defensive line in Edmonton now. Maxie, the coach, stuffed them on third down. That was a big stop. And I think that's where it came from. But if you're going to get a stuff, defensive line stops you on 3rd and 1, that's going to be emotional. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, without a doubt.
That's where it came from. And then later, obviously, Dinwiddie waiting for his shot. I guess for me, I understand the emotion of it. Like, football is an emotional game. So anyone that watches that and thinks it's an issue because he's yelling, you probably shouldn't go towards the sideline. If you go on the field and they're yelling, talking smack, I think that's okay. I think when you start to beeline towards the sideline, that's where it's a little more of an issue. Because if you get, and they're on the same side too, right?
That's the issue. They're close to each other. And I remember when I played, and it was, I remember Montreal one time, and I scored a touchdown, and I made sure I ran down the sideline so I could talk trash to the players and the coaches. So that's the issue, being on the same sideline.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's we get it. It's kind of funny, interesting.
Yeah.
Anything else to flush from that?
No. It's good. It's as long as there's no fighting, no fisticuffs, no throwing of hands. I think it's okay. As we mentioned, this is an emotional sport. There's trash talking. These guys coach with each other. A lot of these players play with each other. So those things are going to happen. Those
I'm
things are
okay
going to
with
happen.
it.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
okay. All right.
I'm with you. I'm with
Let's go to something else that was emotional we caught. And that was Dan Campbell's the interaction, a very awkward, what I thought was an awkward interaction between Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson. You're shaking your head. Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, post game. I'll go first because I thought there was something there. And obviously, Dan Campbell, head coach of Lions, Ben Johnson, the OC who left, went to Chicago. When they met at midfield, Dan Campbell grabbed the back, and this is we'll pull this up. Show the clip here. You can see Dan Campbell grabs the back, and this is where I thought was awkward. He grabbed the back of his head, and it looks as though he's kind of holding him there, and he says something to him in his ear. And you watch Ben Johnson. This is where I took it. When you watch Ben Johnson turn around, if he said something like "good game" or "keep working" or anything like that, Ben Johnson would nod his head at him, look at him in the eye, something as he walked away. You see right there, Ben Johnson didn't do anything. He basically pulled away, like "get your hand off my head" kind of, and then walked away. There was no response there. I think that there's something there between those two guys. You disagree.
you want something to be there. That's why you said that. There's nothing there.
I want something to be there.
You want you want some controversy. I don't think there's anything wrong with their interaction. Dan Campbell comes up, gives him a hug, probably saying, "I just whip your butt. It wasn't personal."
Let me see your hug again.
The hug like that?
No. He sunned him. He put his hand on the back of his head. You gonna put your hand on the back of my head and yank it in and say something in my ear when I'm not talking?
But Ben Johnson's reaction was like, "Yeah, whatever," and he just walked away. There was no coming back at him. There was nothing like that. It was just whatever he said wasn't that big of a deal. He walked away. You got to realize you just got mollywopped by 31 points by your former team. You know, if there's any game he wanted to win, it was this one. This was the team that he had so much success coaching as an offensive coordinator. He was there offensive coordinator, I think 3 or 4 years, whatever. And this was the team he wanted to beat more than any. And the fact that you just got crushed, I think that was the biggest thing. But as far as there being some beef between him and Dan Campbell, I didn't see it in that interaction right there. Right. I didn't see it.
So I don't know where beef would stem from, but part of it could be how Dan Campbell handled, or how Ben Johnson handled his departure. They lost in the playoffs in NFC. Maybe his attention wasn't all on the Lions and getting to the Super Bowl. Instead, it was worried about his next head job. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but it seemed like there was something to me. Again, we're on. You see it that way. I see it the other. Let's see how other folks see this. But it's all up for interpretation. And I'll tell you this: eventually, we're gonna find out. There'll be an answer because as time goes on, it will spill over. Somebody will say something, and we'll find out the answer to this. But
and you know what the good thing about it? They'll play again this year.
Yeah.
They'll play them again this year.
They're the same.
They'll play them again this year. So we'll see how that goes. So.
The Bears have a really tough schedule. You have a young quarterback, you have a first-year coach, and you play in the NFC North.
Yeah, it's tough. The black and blue division, it's tough. It's tough.
Let's talk about Montreal Sask.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Tyson Philpott.
Career day.
At B-A-N-A, how you spell it? B-A-N-A-N-S? Bananas?
Bananas. B-A-Nanas. That's how you spell it. B-A-Nanas. He had a career day. Second most receiving yards in Montreal Alouette history. Wow. And you think about all the great receivers Montreal has employed, but second most. And he went at it. What a day!
But you had a problem with you were texting me during the game. You were talking to, this is crazy. He was talking to me. You didn't like the way it was handled by Sask.
So before the game, the Rough Riders' 2 starting cornerbacks, Campbell and Sales, were game time decisions. So before the game, they decided they couldn't play him. They had to sit him down. So the Rough Riders had to employ one cornerback who's never played a CFL game, Benny Sapp III, and another cornerback who he's been in the CFL since 2019, but basically special teams. Going into that game, he had 7 tackles. Let you know, defensive tackles. Let you know he hadn't been on the field much defensively.
That was Kurfala Exuma.
Exuma,
who was a really good special team player. But
great special team player.
I know he's a DB, but I've never seen him play.
Never. So I'm sure once Jason Moss and Cavillo and McLeod Bethel Thompson found out who was going to be there.
Exactly. Let's show you the first touchdown, because I actually like how this is schemed up. So on this play, we'll hold up for a second. Let me just cue it up and then we'll show it. But on this play, if you look, it's like a bunch. There's 3 receivers. There's 5 people in the backfield for Montreal. There's 3 receivers, 2 backs. So they basically get everyone almost a muddle huddle, which brings all the Sask defenders in the middle in the box as well, so they can create room outside for Tyson Philpott. They know, to your point, Jason Moss, Anthony
they changed their game plan.
They schemed the shit out of this, excuse my language. So they knew they got everyone together to make sure that they had Exuma and Tyson one-on-one out there. And then as soon as they saw that, you see, they can let it play now, let the clip roll now, and Tyson runs a corner route, and there's no chance. I mean, that play right there, you can see from the beginning. First of all, you shouldn't be, for number 41, you shouldn't be pressing him in that situation. You got a big, like a jumbo formation. You have all that field out there. You're inexperienced corner, and you're pressing one of the best receivers in the game.
Yes,
not a good idea. And then also he's running down the line with him. It just looks. That's what you text me, because I wasn't working or watching the game at the time.
Right.
You texted me and said, "Are you watching this?" And I flipped it on and saw that, and went back and watched the tape. But yeah.
Yeah, but my question is, why didn't the Rough Riders having a more experienced guy who they could put out there? I mean, you look at the depth chart from that game. They had no backup defensive backs. They had no defensive backs on their practice roster who they could have signed. Now they went out and signed a guy, a Redwine, I think is the guy's last name, with some NFL experience. But they had no one on their roster who they could put out there with experience. Who's to blame for that? I'm not sure. I don't know if it's the GM. I'm not a player. I don't know who's to blame for that. So I can't put that on anyone. But there's someone to blame why they didn't have an experienced defensive back who they could have put on the roster for that game. That's the problem I have. And then secondly, I thought schematically they could have changed some things up to help those guys out. Those guys were still out there one-on-one, and that shouldn't have been the case. There should have been some changes schematically that I think they could have helped those guys out with also.
Agree. When you get those formations, you know that it's mismatch out there. You have to check out. You have to check out of things. You have to play coverage to protect those guys. And I don't think they did enough. It's one thing to believe in your guys. It's another one to leave them hanging out to dry. So that was brutal. But sometimes it be like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't all on those guys. I mean, defensively, they just didn't play a great game in general. So they didn't get out to the quarterback, and that didn't help out. So overall, they just didn't play a good game.
Got a phone call. It's McLeod Bethel Thompson online. He's saying, "Hey, Milt, keep that same energy." I just came off my couch, threw for 500 yards. Milt, McLeod Bethel Thompson calling. He wants you to keep that same energy, Milt.
I got it. True colors, baby. True colors. I hear you, McLeod.
We see you, McLeod.
Good stuff,
baby. Good stuff, baby. All right, we got this week. Oh, you know what? Let's. One thing I wanted to mention before we quickly chat about this week, who we got this week, but Jake Herslow.
Herslow, my man.
Herslow. I think. What did we say for Herslow? He said, "Mama, I'm gonna make Sports Center again.
I'm gonna make Sports Center." Before we get on him and his jumping antics, let's talk. The last 5 games, he's maybe the hottest receiver in the league. Like over 400 yards in the last 5 games, over 400 yards and 8 touchdowns. 2 each last 3 games too. So let's talk about the way he's been balling. That's something else. But let's get to his jumping antics. Let's
Yeah.
get to his jumping antics. So
I mean, yeah. Look, tee this one up. We're gonna show this.
yeah.
Tee it up.
But
Tee it up.
I want to go back to the first time he tried
Yeah.
to jump and the success he had. And we were
All right.
both working at games, and
Yeah.
the first thing we thought of, white man can't jump. He proved
But
us
man,
wrong.
you can't prove us wrong. Let's
He
show
jumped.
that one. Let's roll that. Let's roll that one. Show that one. All right. So that was. I think he jumped early there too. To be honest,
Yes,
but
he did, and
worked.
he hit the ground, and he looked like a cat almost on that one. So
Yeah,
he looked like a cat. So
and then fast forward to this one. That was honestly, I was in tears. I was in tears. Like that wasn't even close.
No, it wasn't close. It wasn't close. Yep. And sometimes you just have to be smart, because there's a saying, and I think the great comedian Kevin Hart said, "You go learn today. You go learn," and he did, and he did learn today. Hurdling Herslow, he hit a hurdle, baby. He hit a hurdle.
Hey, you know what they say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah,
shoot your shot.
But
what do we got for you? Real fast, I do want to touch on 3 losses in a row for your Bombers.
Yep.
Looks like we don't know who's playing quarterback at the time of recording yet. Could be Zach back, could be Strev. Coach O'Shea was adamant that the media or people are not giving enough credit to Chris Streveler for what he's done. I get it, I guess, but I mean, I always say this about Chris Streveler. He's a guy I want on my team. He's a guy that I think with the roster, there's a spot for him because of what a great football player, a really good football player he is. There are some limits. Let's just be honest. There are some limitations with him in the pass game at times. I've seen good, but I've also seen some limitations. But he defended him and said, that the media doesn't realize the games he's won, and he referred back to 2019, which I thought, I mean, in what league does a quarterback do you refer back to their winning multiple? Because he's talking about multiple winning games, and the last time that happened for Strev was in 2019. He actually won the games. I mean, the defense, won a game for him earlier on, and they had, but anyway, he wants the media to go back to 2019 to talk about the games that he won. So I don't know. We'll see. I hope for the sake of the Grey Cup being in Winnipeg and the sake of a guy who I like a lot in Chris Streveler, I hope if he's out there, I hope he has success. Right. I also as a quarterback, as a guy looking at quarterbacks, I don't know if they need to find a different answer. If he doesn't have success again today, or this weekend, if it is him, you got to find another solution at backup if Zach's not out there.
Like you said, you want him as a teammate. Great teammate, Absolutely. Great change-up quarterback. But the question is, do you want him as your every game starting quarterback? And I think he's shown us enough where that's not his thing. I'm sure he would love for that to be his thing, but he's shown us enough. We've seen enough of Chris Streveler to say, and you ask the Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans, they say the same thing. Yeah. He's not our guy. It's just not us who critique him and say that. It's also the loyal Winnipeg fans who say the same thing.
Potentially Davis Alexander. Looks like he won't be back this week, you think?
No, they're not going to bring him back. I think they'll give him another week or two, maybe. I think they got a cushion by them beating the Saskatchewan Roughriders this past weekend. I think that gave him another week or two, and McLeod Bethel-Thompson coming back gives them some time. They got an experienced guy. They don't have to depend on those guys who hadn't had much success in the league. They have a guy now who had success. So I think having McLeod back and them winning the game gives them a little bit more time.
All right. That's it. One quick shout out to our Canadian peoples. We'll give a shout out to Alec Iomanner, who started off his NFL Stanford grad and Alberta native. He started off his NFL career with a bang. He's balling. Yeah. So shout out to Alec Iomanner, who I've got a chance to spend some time with. Good dude, like seemingly all the Canadian guys that go down, they represent, good dude. And I just got back. Why we didn't record yesterday is because we're recording a day late. I was down in North Carolina, and I got a chance to sit down with Chuba Hubbard, who also 1,000-yard running back, another guy from Alberta. And Chuba Hubbard said, when I sat down with him yesterday, he said that Alberta has the best talent in Canada when it comes to football,
Wow.
which was a bold statement when you look at Quebec
All righty.
and
And
Ontario.
Ontario, yeah.
You almost think he's capping until you actually look at the guys in the NFL right now from Alberta, and he has a legit argument. I mean, there's 4 skill players just from Alberta, skill guys just from Alberta, which is per capita. There's no question. But anyway,
Right.
that feature will be coming up here on TSN here probably the next couple of weeks. But yeah, shout out to those Canadian guys balling down south.
No doubt. Shout out.
I think that's it for this week.
I think we're good, baby.
Let's get it. Fire your questions, comments, and if you're not following, please click the subscribe button. Follow us. We appreciate it. Yeah, definitely need and appreciate your support. Keep this thing rocking. We have fun doing it, and thanks for joining us.